Reading FC are back in the news headlines this week for all the wrong reasons as their ownership struggles continue. The club have already had several points deductions this season and now risk entering administration if their financial problems can't be solved. The Royals currently sit 22nd in League One after 11 games, with Ruben Selles in charge. Andy Preston, the sports editor at ReadingToday, fears the impact that administration could have on and off the pitch.
Yeah, it's a big concern. I think people are concerned for the club dropping into League One, so, delving down into League Two would be a further hit. Administration, like you say, a 12-point automatic deduction, it's going to be really tough for them to stay in the league if that's the case. And on the local community, the attendances haven't been brilliant in the last few years, and they need to try and increase that as much as possible. And of course, dropping down to League Two would make that even tougher. So that, it's going to have a negative impact if that's the case.
And it's not just the local media that can see the damage that administration may bring to the Berkshire club. I spoke with Reading fan Sam Clarke about his worries.
It's not the best. I knew when we went down it would be bad, but not this bad. And I thought the communication's always been an issue. We've not had anyone about anything. Counterpoint deductions. We got told it'd be a new era. Started last season, we went down because of a point deduction, and this season's been even worse.
Would you accept being in League Two if you got a good owner in that maybe would then be a stable future for the club?
Yeah, 100%. I think the worst we could do is rush and make anything worse. We've got to make sure that we're still a football club at the end of the day, and the debts are bad. We don't want someone that can promise things, which we've had before, and not deliver. To make sure we get the right person in, I think is more important than maybe the league position we're in.
And as this anger amongst fans has grown, some have decided to take it into their own hands by forming an action group called Sell Before We Die. And I spoke to Caroline, a member of this group.
The current owner, Dai Yong, purchased the club just over 6 years ago. And since then, he's overseen a period of spectacular financial mismanagement. We've now had 3 seasons running where we've had points deductions. We currently owe money to HMRC, and this has been an ongoing pattern for a considerable amount of time, and it had a direct impact on our championship status last year. Had the points deduction not happened, we would have stayed in the championship. So it's affecting everything on the pitch. We felt it was important that we put together a pressure group to pressure Dai Yong to sell. It's really important that we get our club back in the hands of someone who really cares about it and who's going to look after it. So Sell Before We Die started about 4 months ago now, and the campaign's gained great traction. It's we're doing well. We're getting the message out there. We've done a few tennis ball protests. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yeah,
we've got a march coming next weekend on the 28th before the Portsmouth game. So it's all steam ahead for that. So yeah, we're happy with how the campaign's gone, but fundamentally it's here for a reason. We need to get Dai Yong to sell as soon as possible before he does any more damage.
And talking of new owners, there was obviously the rumours that Reading put out a statement saying there's several groups interested at the moment to buy the club, but obviously William Story's been the name that's come out most publicly about it, and he's obviously got his own controversy around finances, etc. What are your thoughts on his very public bid to buy the club, and would you maybe rather delay a bit of time of taking over so that you get the right person?
I think William's story is quite notorious, not for the right reasons. His interview on TalkSport the other day didn't really quantify what he'd done. I think it's very speculative to get publicity. No one knows if he's actually put in a bid, and if he's even got the funds for a bid. If you're a credible consortium and he's your front man, are you really going to want William Story as your front man? So I would politely suggest that any consortium headed up by William Story is something that Reading fans would not want. And I think Reading fans have made their feelings very, very clear on that. We cannot jump out of the frying pan into the fire. We need a good owner, a sensible owner. We're not asking someone to chuck money at it left, right and centre. We just want a bit of stability. But yeah, we are, as a campaign team and the Supporters Trust, doing everything we can to work with any interested parties to make sure we do our bit in terms of due diligence and making sure that they're going to be a good owner for us, because there's a lot of dodgy people about, and I'm afraid when when you're in crisis situations such as Reading, these are the times when the vultures circle, and we could end up in an even worse position. So we're all really mindful of that. And as far as I know, there are a few parties talking to various people at the club, and let's hope a decent party, a credible party, comes forward with a plan and Di accepts their offer.
And you mentioned there about the march being planned. Can you share a few more details on that for maybe to help Reading fans join that maybe don't know about it?
Brilliant. So the march is starting in the town centre at a location called Blue Collar Food, which is in the town centre. There is details on Sell Before We Die Twitter page in terms of an exact postcode, and I really should be prepared, shouldn't I? But Blue Collar Food is opening early at 11 a.m. for people who want to get there a bit earlier. We are looking for everybody to gather there at midday with a view to setting off on the actual march at around about 12:30. We are going to have members of Parliament joining us. We are going to have local councillors with us, and we've got people making speeches. We're going to take our route up the A33. We're going to have some of the original marchers that protested 40 years ago against Thames Valley Royals. So there's definitely a nice nostalgia piece to it as well, because we're taking to the streets again to fight for our club. So I would welcome any Reading fans, even if you're a casual Reading fan and you only go occasionally, and that's fine. But this is a real fundamental. The club is in an existential crisis. We've got to show that we're an engaged, passionate fan base. There's various information on all of our social channels, so I would encourage people to look on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, etc. You can also look on our Supporters Trust at Reading website as well, and there's information on there. So please come and join us. The more the merrier, and it's going to be a peaceful protest, but we want to show everybody how much we care about the club, and we want to try and put the pressure on to enforce change as much as we can.
Will the Royals find their knight in shining armour, or will their fans be subject to even harder times? Harry McBain, Solent University.